Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Mad King play that I saw recently in Stratford-upon-Avon, and honestly, it is nothing like I've ever seen before. So this play was at Stratford-upon-Avon with the Royal Shakespeare Company. Everything about the play was honestly so immersive. The play, the way the actors would interact with one another, and the way how the actors even came out into the audience. The scale of everything was incredible. The word I'm going to keep using in this video is immersive. I was in row E in the stalls and I could literally touch the stage, like from where I was sat. It was literally right there. And they aren't kidding when they say no matter where you sit, it's a unique view because of the layout and the way that you have something happening over here and over there, and things are happening in the background also. There's always something going on pretty much, and for a die-hard A Song of Ice and Fire fan like myself, it's a chokehold full of Easter eggs and lore. It is also as faithful to the books as they possibly could be. Like, I had pretty high expectations going in, not going to lie, and I tried not to, but I was like, I hope we see this and I hope we see that. And then some. The main event is the tourney at Harrenhal, and there are characters that I'm seeing on the stage depicted in real life that I've never seen depicted before on a show or in any other format other than in my head. Characters like Elia Martell, Ashara Dane, Queen Rhaella Targaryen, and we need to talk puppets. I'm not talking about little itty bitty Punch and Judy puppets. These are enormous, like the time and the craftsmanship and the choreography, everything that has gone into putting on a show of this level. It was honestly breathtaking. And when the show first opened, you really start to understand what it's like being in the presence of Targaryen royalty and just how imposing and impactful they are. And honestly, how low-key terrifying they are as well. Like, for all of this to be happening live, there's so many moving parts. Like, the way they pulled it all together and made it cohesive, and it was like they were just weaving the story through. They struck the perfect tone. I was just amazed at the amount of stuff they were able to cram into what felt like a small space. And it's also a really big building. Like, from the outside looking at it, you're like, okay. But when you're in the theatre, it feels very, very intimate. And I like how they used the whole room for the play. And a bit of a spoiler warning in this video is that I had no clue how they were going to incorporate the Iron Throne, the Weirwood Tree, until it started coming out of the ground. And I didn't notice. I was looking over the other side of the stage and I looked to my left, and all of a sudden the Iron Throne had risen out of the ground. They are so slick and sleek with the way that they go about bringing out these objects. It's like it was always there anyway. The change of scene is very subtle, but it's also very impactful to the play. And as for the Weirwood Tree, that would come out of the ground and also the ceiling. So you can imagine me just saying that and how big this theatre actually was. Like, I felt like a proper Shakespearean person watching a play, like from back in the day, at the Globe Theatre. It was that immersive, from like giant props down to the little details that maybe like the casual fan might not notice or might not even care about. And I'm like, and I keep trying not to break out into a grin. I was like, I need to be composed, I need to focus, because there's just so much going on, but it's enough to be able to pick up on what's going on as well. I was sat there just nodding my head like, yep, carry on. I want more. I want more. Now, breaking down the characters, I said before, there are characters like Elia who we've never seen depicted before, and the other characters like, the Mad King or Lyanna Stark or Rhaegar Targaryen, where we've only got the briefest glimpse. And this felt like meeting them properly for the first time. It was also like they were reading my mind, like they got it spot on. And to watch the Mad King in his madness, it was really unsettling, because you'd have the Iron Throne on the stage with him sat on it completely blacked out, as, say, for example, Rhaegar and Elia were talking, and it just gave such an imposing feeling. And Rhaegar Targaryen, there was one point where I had such a fan moment when he got his harp out and he started singing in High Valyrian. And that's when we see Lyanna cry because she finds it so beautiful. And for a woman who is known to be a hard, sturdy northerner, her brothers take, the piss out of her, basically. But it was uncanny with all of the little details and nuances. Like, they just got it on the spot, and you find yourself having empathy for all the characters. Well, pretty much everyone, and I didn't expect that at all. And especially for people that you might not have thought you would feel bad for, or characters that you thought you wouldn't ever understand, and now you're like, I never thought about it like that before. And it makes you understand these characters so much better. And even someone like me who considers like herself to be a diehard fan, I feel like I left that production knowing all these characters so much better. And honestly, really sorry for them as well. And you also walk away with this feeling overwhelmed, I suppose, of I've just witnessed a true Shakespearean tragedy unfold before my very eyes. And there are these moments of sheer emotion and intimacy and feelings of genuine empathy that you wouldn't think you would have between certain characters. And one of them was Rhaegar and the Mad King. Like, Rhaegar did care about his father, and the Mad King really did deeply care about his son and heir. But obviously his madness was too much. But what did impress me was the most of that every character was nuanced, not just the main ones like Ned, Lyanna, Rhaegar, the Mad King. Elia Martell was a particular highlight, as was Ashara Dane and Queen Rhaella Targaryen. And it was just so amazing to see how Elia Martell had a chemistry with Rhaegar. We've never seen that before. And I'd like to say that she has Rhaegar on a very tight leash, and she's very, very diplomatic and smart. And I didn't think of her as that, as watching the play to begin with. But the first few lines that we see her as a character, she's very strong, very independent, and she knows exactly what Rhaegar needs to do. But Rhaegar can't be flaunting around Harrenhal saying, hey, we need allies. She puts him in his place, and I really, really respect that from her. I've got to put my hands up as well and go to Rhaella because I've realised that sometimes I've infantilized her a little bit, and I've got to remember, you know what? There's more to this woman than just being beaten down. Yes, that's a big part of her life, and we know that she suffered at the hands of the Mad King. But there's also Targaryen in her. There are characters that will make you laugh, characters that will make you cry, and there are characters you root for, characters that you want to boo. There are moments that I did not expect, moments of tenderness or softness, of just like two actors just doing a scene and it feeling so utterly real and heartbreaking and tragic and heartwarming as well. And with Rhaella Targaryen, you understand how almost unsettling she is as a character a little bit. She has a bit of madness in her, but I wouldn't say it's madness, it's more rage to do with her predicament. This is another spoiler, so if you want to end the video now or pause it and skip, be my guest. But there's a scene in it where, with the prophecy of the prince that was promised that a red comet would fly over King's Landing, and the red comet flew over King's Landing, and the Mad King beckoned Rhaella into his chambers, and we see Rhaella walking with her guards, and this is where Elia Martell comes out of prison and wants to talk to Rhaella, saying, let me out of prison, I want to see my children should be with me, I will be your handmaiden, send Ashara Dane back to Dawn. And Rhaella has a mental breakdown on the stage. I'm not going to go into it all because it's amazing, but it's about she needs to go because this is the prophecy. This is a lot more than she knows. She feels it within her body, and she says something very, very interesting. And this is a huge spoiler, but she talks about how she's going to go to the Mad King. She's going to be pregnant, and she hopes that when she is pregnant, she knows it's going to be a daughter who brings back the dragons, who burns the world in vengeance and anger, that same anger she wants to bestow upon everyone because she's been so confined and forced to live a life that she does not deserve. And you see Elia Martell and you see Ashara Dane, and they step in front of Rhaella to tell the guards, like, no, don't come any closer because he's not going to have his way with her. But Rhaella understands that this is bigger than what is happening in that moment. And considering this is live theatre, and considering this I think was technically a preview. It was flawless. Now, is this canon? Yes and no, because George R. R. Martin is heavily involved in this and he's given them a lot of Easter eggs, which they do include, but at the same time, there are a couple things that, because it is a play, they have to tweak a little bit, you know? They can't have us there like for 6, 7, 8 hours watching one play. Actually, I would prefer that, to be honest. But George R. R. Martin himself has said this is our chance to show you what really happened at Harrenhal, to clear up some of the ambiguities that they definitely do. There are some moments that you can sort of interpret in different ways, and I love that. They didn't try and force a story into any one direction, they let it just flow, and it really, really did reflect George's story. There is something I want to mention, which is about like a technique that they use in certain scenes where everything is slowed down and it just like the theatre is silent. You can hear a pin drop and you can just feel the tension in the air and the anticipation from the audience, and it just felt so Shakespearean. This was the perfect medium for this kind of production. I hope that it can travel for other people to see, but honestly, it was amazing. And again, a spoiler, when it came to the Battle of the Trident, you see Rhaegar, Robert, and the other men behind them charging, but in slow motion. And the only people who aren't in slow motion is Elia Martell, Lyanna, Caitlin Tully, and also Rhaella Targaryen. And they're singing a song, and it's just so emotional to watch. And it's so intense that you actually hold your breath. I also want to give a huge props to the costumes, for the armor, for the set design, for the way they really brought this to life. And it was just, I don't even have the words really. I'm not doing a good job here. It is truly a play where you have to go and see it for yourself. It just all looked right. The costumes were perfect, but they didn't distract from the actors. And so I walked away from the theatre taking it all in, trying to remember as much, trying to make notes like of key points in the production. I just felt like overwhelmingly sad for the characters as well. It was like, damn, this really didn't have to go down the way it did. And these are some spoilers, so again, pause the video or come back. But we learn that Lyanna is the Knight of the Laughing Tree. We see this chemistry between Lyanna and Elia Martell, and honestly, they are more like writing as sisters to each other, understanding the prophecy, understanding that things need to change because Aerys's end needs to come soon. And Elia is okay with Lyanna being with Rhaegar, although there, I could sense there was a little bit of bitterness, but honestly, who would be a little bit bitter? And in one of her letters she wrote to Lyanna, she's mentioned Aegon the Conqueror taking 2 wives, so she feels like she should be privileged. We see at the Battle of the Trident, Robert and Rhaegar. The Battle of the Trident also is really, really sad because we see how Rhaegar is telling Robert, surrender your arms. Like, he said it 3 times. So obviously, Rhaegar didn't actually want to kill him because Rhaegar needed all the support he could get to kill his father. We also learn that at the Battle of the Trident, when Rhaegar dies, he has a dragon dream. And in his dragon dream, we see a big dragon and he kneels on one knee and he touches the dragon. And then it goes. And then he sees his wife, Lyanna. And it's just amazing because we're seeing his dreams and we find out he didn't die because he's a bad fighter. If he didn't have his dream, he would have won against Robert. And I would also like to say the way how they got rid of the characters on stage is during the fight scenes and the death scenes, we would see this character who just died, would see them get up from their spot and walk towards a bright white light. And it was just such an amazing way to remove a character from a scene if they had passed on stage. But seeing them right before your eyes, I felt more invested. Like, I felt bad for them more than I already did as a fan of the books. I'm like, damn, I bring it to you. It was a classic Shakespearean and it was a very tragic story, but you do walk away from it changed, I'll be honest with you. It's not even a 10 out of 10, it's a 20 out of 10. It's spectacular. I hope they either extend the run and or take it on tour. I honestly want as many people to see this as possible because it was just so beautifully done and no notes. Like, I wouldn't change a thing. It was honestly brilliant. And the show ends with with Ned taking Jon Snow back to the north, and there's a really interesting part at the end. Throughout the play, you will see Lyanna talking to the weirwood tree, and it responds to her because she is a green seer. It's confirmed in the play. And when Ned announces Jon Snow's name, the tree does exactly the same thing that it did for his mother. So I'm not sure if there's more to that to come out, but it's very, very interesting. We also get to see Daenerys for a very, very split second on stage through a dragon dream with Rhaegar, and honestly, I kind of freaked out. We see a younger Cersei Lannister on stage as well with Tywin, and it's as Robert and Cersei are getting married, and we see a very odd scene between Cersei and also Jamie, and they pretty much say that they want to do obscene things. And I was a bit uncomfortable because I was hoping the whole time, please don't kiss each other, please don't kiss each other. But they didn't. But honestly, this is a show that I recommend everyone go sees, and I know they are doing a recording of it, so fingers crossed we get the recording of it very, very soon on HBO Max. But I hope you liked the video, and honestly, I don't want to give you guys too many spoilers because I'd feel so guilty to give you guys spoilers to such an amazing production and something that the team has worked very, very hard on with George R. R. Martin. Make sure to like and subscribe, and also put in the comments if you've seen the play. And if you haven't seen the play, what elements are you hoping to see?